Hello and welcome to the PaynePoints Podcast. We want to tell the stories of people, their businesses, and the journey that they are on. Our purpose is to gather a new perspective on starting, growing, maturing, and maintaining businesses of all sizes. So grab that cup of coffee, sit back, and join us as we start this conversation. Hey guys, it's Sarah Harbuck, your host, and co-hosting with me today is Kristin Ellis. Hello. And our guest is Aubree Paige. Hey Aubree, how's it going?
Hey guys, it's great. Thank you so much for having me.
So Aubree is a travel agent with Vagablonde Travel, which I love that name.
Yes.
And she is here to talk to us today all about travel stuff. But first, before we get into all of that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and just let everybody get to know you?
Perfect. Okay, yes. So I am a mom of two, a boy and a girl, 11 and 9.
Oh, wow.
I am currently trying to plan a wedding in the midst of this pandemic,
Oh,
which has been
Fun stuff.
so much fun.
Yeah.
So while we are trying to get, everything with travel going with COVID, trying to plan a wedding has been, the cherry on top.
So you just have like all kinds of stress going on.
There's all kinds of stress going on. Yes. And there are times people keep asking, like, how's the wedding planning going? And I'm like, is it going?
Is it really?
Even
Did
going?
you have to postpone?
Happening?
We didn't. No.
Okay.
So it's in July of
next year.
2021. Yes.
Okay.
And so hopefully everything, will go as planned.
Right.
But yeah, I taught for 11 years. I taught elementary school. I
wow.
actually have my master's in library science. So I am
Wow.
a certified book nerd.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So I was the elementary and high school librarian for 6 years. So before I decided that public education was just not my thing anymore and decided to branch out to other things.
Well, I think a travel person is something I would like to do. Go and
Absolutely.
travel to all these places
Yes.
and experience all these different resorts and,
Yeah,
and be like, here, you should come here. I would totally so
Yes.
they need somebody.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
this is all over.
I volunteer as tribute.
I
if
will
you need some
volunteer
help.
It's so funny because when I go on these trips for work, I think I put on 5 to 10 pounds every time because each resort you go to, you
food
have
is
to
amazing.
taste all their food. You
Yeah.
have to drink their drinks. You have, because
have
you
to be
bring
able
that
to-
back to your client.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I don't want this coconut milk, but I'm going to drink it. I'm going to do this.
For the good of the community.
Yeah. Do I need 3
who
desserts?
want to travel?
No, but am I going to eat them? Yes.
I mean, that's the great thing about traveling is that you can sort of let that little veil down a bit
Yeah.
and go, you know what, I'm just gonna indulge. I'm on vacation. Now, when it's your job,
Yeah.
Exactly. When you're going on vacation 2 weeks out of every month,
Yeah.
it's like you kind of have to set that balance.
yeah, you gotta just hit the gym at the resort every day,
Every
right?
day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
I applaud you. So you were a teacher, a librarian.
I also taught. I taught
You
pre-K.
taught too.
Okay.
Yeah, one of my best friends from high school. She taught for a while. Then she got her a master's and she became a librarian.
Yes.
So that's what she does currently. Which, if I were gonna be in the public school system, I feel like that's like
Yeah, being
the
in the
ideal
library,
job.
that would be.
But I can
absolutely.
definitely see your frustration and why you wanted to get out of that particular field and go into something else. Was there any other catalyst that kind of propelled you into the travel world, or
So,
what was
yeah.
that made? Like, what happened? What steps happened to make you go to travel rather than become, say, a fitness guru or a
Right.
photographer? Or
So it's really funny. I've been in network marketing for a few years, so I kind of had that network to kind of rely on.
Right.
And it's really kind of funny. A lot of people ask me, how did you get into travel? How can I get into travel? And my answer is, I really am not sure what path you need to take because it fell into my lap.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So the travel.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I used a travel advisor out of Houston, Jennifer Brown, and she worked for an agency, and she had decided that she was going to start her own. Well, she had reached out to me and said, I'm thinking of doing this. Would you be interested in learning? I think you'd be a great fit.
Wow.
And I was like, sure. My type 7, I'm a 7 Enneagram. Sure. Why not? Let's do it. And so she said, okay, this beginning stages, I'll check back with you in a few months whenever I decide if I'm going to do this or not. So May of, 2 years ago, whatever that was. I was in Las Vegas at the time celebrating my birthday. So 2018.
2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So she reached out to me and said, okay, I'm going to do this, and I would love to have you as my first agent. And I was like, okay, let's start. So she trained me one-on-one for 6 months. We didn't tell anybody. We just did it quietly.
Yeah.
And just under the table, kind of, I would go to Houston. She's out of Houston. So I would go to Houston and I would just sit under her and learn. And then after that, after about 6 months, we decided to tell the world that I was doing it. And so from there, it just kind of exploded. And so I really don't know the path that others would take, because it was just kind of, it was a blessing.
Yeah.
It was just handed to me.
Yeah. That's awesome
So
though.
what is training, is that going to different places or learning
Taking
how to
classes,
deal with people,
certifications?
or is
Kind of
there-
all
yeah.
of it. It's
Okay.
sort of all of it. So I sat under her and watched her. I learned how to book the trips.
Okay.
So that's the first thing that I did. And you're having to learn all this information because where do we send you in Jamaica? Where would you like to go? Do you want to go more on the beach side? Do you want to go on more of the bay? Things
okay.
like that.
So you're learning geography and
all
you're
of
learning
it,
different,
yes, and
Which
you're
was the
kind
hard
of-
of the-
certain
yeah,
things.
Right,
and you're trying
yeah.
to also discover your niche as well because you don't want to do it all. Some
Yeah.
people do, but when you get a lot of clients, it's hard to do Disney and do Colorado and do Europe and
Right,
it's very
right.
difficult. So you want to try and figure out your niche.
Narrow your focus a little bit more.
Yeah.
And your niche. And so I did all of that. I started traveling to the resorts, it's really funny because we'll choose a resort based on different things. We sort of look at what you're looking for, and then we go from there. And for instance, there's one resort that a lot of people love, and I just refuse to send my clients there simply because the chairs on the beach are plastic. And if you're going to pay that much money for a resort, I'm not sending you to a resort with
plastic
chairs.
Yeah.
And so it's those little things that you learn by
Yeah.
traveling and then sitting under someone. She's $1 million agent, so she is phenomenal at what she does. So all of that, knowledge is just passed down to me. So that is how I spent about 6 months doing all of that.
That's fantastic.
And then it's a work in progress. So
Yeah.
I just returned from Cancun and, still going to Cabo in December. So just
Nice.
learning all the different places.
Yeah.
What
yeah,
resort are you
that's
going to
very
in
cool.
Cabo?
So I'm staying at Hard Rock Los Cabos.
Okay.
And I will be traveling. I'll be visiting. I believe I'll see Nobu. I think we're going to see LeBlanc Cabo. Not Cancun. I just went there. We'll see about 4 or 5 resorts when we're there.
Well, I just
Yeah.
asked because we were at Pueblo Bonito on Sunset
Okay.
Beach.
I just priced that out for a couple. What did you think of it?
I mean, I really liked it. I liked the atmosphere there. I liked the way the resort was very high-end feeling. Kind of like you said, there were no plastic chairs.
No,
Yeah.
you do not do
Yeah.
that. You do not.
I think you said there were too many stairs.
The downfall is for somebody who has mobility issues. Now they do have these little carts that will take you where you need to go, but if you want to you want to go on your own power, it's built into the side of like a cliff mountain,
Yeah.
and so it definitely makes you feel like you're sort of like maybe in Portofino or the Amalfi Coast. If you weren't like, I'm in Mexico, kind of
Yeah.
hey, I'm in Italy right now. So for somebody who's maybe older, who has mobility issues, that is not the resort to go to because you're up
Good to
and down,
know.
up and down, up and
That's-
down.
see, little things like that. So when
There
we
you
do
go.
go visit these, those are things we take into consideration.
Right, but younger
Yeah.
people and people with families, they have certain areas dedicated just
take
for
your
kids.
up and down those
Yes.
stairs and wear
Yeah.
them out. That's
Yes,
right. Yeah.
exactly.
But yeah, so I was curious. We got to visit some of the sister resorts while we were there to go visit the beaches, and there were some of the other ones that are less high end, that are maybe more in the mid range, and they were all on flat surfaces.
Yes.
So, but you still got some sort of that same kind of luxury feel.
Yeah.
I also, it's little things like that. And then, different resorts. I prefer a smaller resort, more of a boutique.
Yeah, this one is
Yeah.
really big.
And
Yeah.
I personally do not like having to get in a golf cart and be transferred from one side of the resort to the other. If I want to see the other side of the resort, I want to be able to walk to it.
Go to
yeah.
it.
So
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
things like
I would
that.
not have
Yeah.
enjoyed this place probably if it were filled to capacity. There were only like 300 people.
Most resorts are about 30% capacity right now.
And
Yeah,
and then
wow.
normally they said during that time of year they would be at 3,000 capacity.
yes.
And I was like,
Wow.
there's no way. I would feel claustrophobic because of the way it's laid out. So I went at the perfect time for this destination wedding. If I had gone during a regular peak season time where they're full, I don't think I would have enjoyed it because it would have been, they said people are just everywhere.
Yes,
Yeah.
they can be very packed.
Yeah.
Claustrophobic when that happens.
Yeah.
We visited a resort in July. We went, I think, 3 weeks after the world sort of started opening up, if you can say that. Is the world open? And and they were about 20% capacity at the time. And so it was just crazy to see these resorts that are so packed normally just be so empty. It was kind of nice because you have the whole
you have the whole
property
place
to
to yourself.
yourself.
Yeah.
But it's also just, it really shows you just what has happened, you know?
Yeah.
And so they are moving up. Mexico has opened up a few more, things as far as resorts go. We can have the swim up bars open now. They are moving up in capacity, so you'll see it getting
when
to
we
about
were there,
40%.
none of the excursions, you were never not allowed to book any excursions.
Really?
I think the only thing they would do was deep sea fishing, and you had to. It had to be the party that you came to Mexico with. So, like, you couldn't
Right.
do it with strangers. Whereas in the
Right.
past, they would book strangers
Yes.
together.
Yeah.
You had to go as your party that came.
That's how I would want it.
I mean, that's how I would want it anyway.
Yeah.
And
But-
Cancun and Cabo are just about the only places Americans can go right now without any COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
So you do not have, this is and before anyone starts screaming at us, it is recommended to quarantine upon return, but it is not required.
I did when I came home.
So you definitely can. It is just not required.
Right.
You also do not have to have a COVID test. So that is the reason that we've been pushing Mexico so hard is because it is one of the only places that you can go right now without being COVID
They
tested.
are crippled financially now
Yeah.
because
And they are,
they're,
yes.
they're I know when we were there, they had literally just opened up maybe a week before. Like they had, and so there was 10% capacity at the resort we were at. So it was very bare. And they were, the people that worked there, they said they had laid off so many workers. And so he was like, I'm so grateful to have a job.
Yes.
And tell your friends, if they're interested in traveling. And Mexico was way more strict about mask wearing and what you could do than we are here in the
Really?
States.
That's what. it's
It was
night and day.
insane. Like you had to go through this entire what they call decontamination like booth when you got to the resort,
Really?
and your luggage was sprayed and you were sprayed and
Well,
like
that's fantastic.
and it
That's
was
good to
very
know.
safe,
I
very
mean,
clean,
yeah.
very
I feel more uncomfortable
Here.
at our local Walmart
I do too.
than I did
Yeah.
in Mexico at any
Girl,
time.
I haven't been to Walmart in 6 months.
Yeah, it's out of control.
It is.
And that was another thing that you have to wear the mask in the airports. You have to wear the mask on the plane. When you get to the resort, like you said, a lot of them even have sprays that they have you walk through.
Yeah, that's what we
Yeah.
Some aren't requiring that, but some do. They wipe your luggage, your shoes, everything is,
Yeah.
and then even your rooms.
And in any public spaces, you had to wear a mask.
Yeah.
See, it's not like
Except
that
at the
now.
pool. At the pool, you could have it off. But
Yeah.
like if you went into the restaurant
It's
or
very
you were
easy
in
to
like a
social
bar.
distance
Yeah.
at a pool, and
And
you're in
it-
the sunshine.
It
and,
is
you
very
know, yeah.
fluid, so it's ever changing.
Right.
But most resorts now are not requiring you to wear the mask unless you feel unless you want to.
Right.
So that once you arrive at the resort, it is totally up to you. Now, obviously, some resorts are different. They do some require.
I mean, this was back in June. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
things
So
are different
very
now.
at the very beginning of it.
Right.
But yeah, they even put a sticker on your door. I don't know if they did this for you guys. It is a thing now that they're doing. It's a seal that they put on the door showing you that it has been cleaned and sanitized, and you have to break that
Nobody
seal.
has been in there since it was
to
clean.
get into
Yeah.
your room.
Yeah.
And it's also in your mini bar, things like that. So you're physically breaking the seal. That way
Yeah,
nothing has
yeah.
been touched and contaminated.
I mean, those are great precautions to
Yes.
make people feel more
Well,
comfortable.
the workers at the
especially
resort we
when
were
you
at
need-
had the masks on and the face
and they
shields.
will not
Oh,
wear them
wow.
under their nose like the workers in America.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always kind of gets me. I'm like, it doesn't. It's not.
So I felt
not as
relatively safe.
effective.
The airplane ride was a different story, but once I got there and once I came, coming home, the airplane was packed. So that tends to kind of put me in a bit of a panic, traveling, getting on an airplane, resharing recycled air with people. Now, I'm sure there's
Yeah.
probably studies saying it's not any more or worse or bad. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. But have you noticed as a travel agent that people are a little more fearful now of doing, going somewhere by plane?
It depends. I have some that are very fearful, and they are flat out refusing. Oh, I'm not going to travel until the vaccine.
Because I've seen a lot of
is,
people
out.
Right.
doing road trips these days.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Lots of road trips.
But then
Yeah.
I have some that are taking full advantage of the sales. and they're just
Right.
going right at it. Yeah. There are resorts that are, just for instance, I have a resort that I book all the time. It's one of my all-time favorite resorts. Normally prices $3,500 for a couple to go. It's pricing at $1,300 right now. So, and it's a 5-star, all-inclusive adults only.
Anybody want to keep my kids for a week?
Let's go.
And so there are many that are, you're finding it more in your Gen Z millennials. We're taking full advantage of it. Whereas, your older generations are a little more cautious, I would say.
Right.
Well, they're in that demographic.
They are.
Yeah,
yes. And that's what I tell
risk.
people. If you are not comfortable with traveling, do not travel.
Yeah.
Do it when you are ready.
Yeah.
But if you are comfortable with traveling,
You're
never going to
Take
find
the
these
proper
deals
precautions.
again.
Yeah.
Your
yeah.
website says that you are a travel concierge, which I think is really cool.
Yes.
What do y'all specialize in something? Because you were talking about having a niche
finding
and all
your-
that.
Yeah. So each one of us, we now have 4 agents, I believe. And 2 of them are kind of in training at this moment. But each one of us brings something different to the table. So we have a Disney specialist. So a concierge, basically, we are a start to finish, if that's what you would like. Some clients prefer us just book my resort. I have everything else. Some are, I want you to book my resort, my airfare, my airport transfer, excursions. I want, this in my room.
Take the headache out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And which is
absolutely.
what, if you're going to use an agent, you might as well get the
You might
full
as well have them
benefit.
Take
do all of
advantage.
it.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So each one of us has a specialty, and our agency owner, she is a destination wedding specialist.
Okay.
She has spoken at huge conferences, giving pointers for destination weddings. I personally specialize in international romance travel.
Okay.
So now
Like
I can
couples
do
trips.
couple
Yeah.
trips, honeymoons, anniversaries. I really love being able to send bride and grooms on their honeymoons and being able to just spoil them after the stress of the wedding. That is my, I love that.
Yeah.
Anniversary travel. I do a lot of family. And then, like I said, we have a Disney specialist. We have another that kind of works on domestic trips. So all of, we each bring our own specialty to the table.
Okay.
That's great, though, for having a travel agency where you have each person like, oh, I want to go to Europe. Oh, so-and-so
Yes.
deals with all the Europe
Yeah.
trips.
Yeah.
You know, and that way, like you said earlier, you don't have to know everything
You don't
about
have to
every
know the
place,
world.
you
Yeah.
know?
It's not, you're not having to learn the world. You're just,
Right.
you're learning what you specialize
Yeah.
in. And yeah.
So when we get ready to go to New Zealand for our 15-year anniversary,
Yes,
I'll give you a call.
do it. Yeah, yes. And we work with we work with budgets from all over.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say I'm not cheap. I don't book cheap.
Yeah.
Because you'll have that. You'll have someone that says, I want to go here for cheap. Well, you don't want me to send you to a cheap resort in Mexico. I promise.
No, you
No, you
do
don't.
not.
No.
So I always say I will work with your budget, but I will never send you cheap. So, it's all in that aspect of it. We go from, a very budget friendly to booking African safaris that are $20,000 per person. So it just ranges what
Wow.
what you're looking at. Yeah. So I booked a honeymoon the other day for $1,500 for the couple. And then you have one that is $40,000. So
Yeah,
it's just all in between there. We do it all.
Yeah. That's very cool.
What is one of the best places you've been to that you
Oh,
really
man.
enjoy, and you're like, okay, hey, if you want to go to this is where you go.
Yeah.
It's so hard to decide because I've been to Australia.
It's like picking a favorite child.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've been to Australia. I've done,
Oh.
I've camped out
And
in
you
the
didn't
outback.
die.
I know.
Nothing ate you.
Nothing ate me. Not the big spiders. Not, I camped in the outback. I did
Oh,
all
I
of
bet
that,
that was
which was unbelievable.
incredible,
But then
yeah.
I've gone to Germany and I've experienced Christmas in Germany, which is just
wow.
you can't
Yeah.
even But
It's like where Christmas was invented.
Yeah, exactly. But then you have, all-inclusive resorts. If you're wanting to just get away and just be completely pampered and you don't have to worry about anything, then an all-inclusive is, and it's so hard for me
Yeah.
to choose because I love them all equally.
Well, sometimes you want this. Sometimes you want to be pampered and you want to just lay around and not have to do anything. And sometimes you want to go experience the
Yes.
culture and the food and see the history.
Exactly.
And, have it. Just depends on what vacation you're taking. Yeah.
And it also depends on, once again, a lot of your budget, you
Yeah.
know? And that's a big question that I get all the time. This is my budget. Can I do this? And I'll because this is, I feel like, a point that needs to be talked about.
Sure.
A lot of people will come to me and they'll say, I want to go to Bora Bora and I have $3,000. Okay.
That's not going to
It's
happen.
not gonna
I've already looked into it.
Setting those realistic expectations with travel. So what
Just as a point of
yeah.
interest, how much money does it take to go to Bora Bora?
If you're from Houston, this area, you can bet low season is anywhere from about you would need about a $10,000 budget.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes. Now, obviously,
I'll
you can
never go to
do
Bora
it.
Bora.
You can do it for cheaper, but if you're wanting the
That
overwater
experience.
bungalow,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
wanting.
Yeah, that's why you're going there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and
I didn't mean to derail what you were about to say.
That's what I was actually going to go for. Is this is the way I always suggest finding your workable budget is go to Google Flights, look up the average pricing for your flight alone.
Yeah.
So Houston to Bora Bora, $1,500 per person. So you're looking at $3,000 in airfare. So you're going to want to stay at least 6 to 7 nights. You're in the air 21.
You're in the air for a day.
Yes, there and back.
Yep.
So 6 nights, and then your resort is running normally about $1,100 a night. So that's your workable budget.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand either that Bora Bora is not all inclusive. So they'll say, I want an all inclusive in Bora Bora. Well, you're not going to get that. You can get breakfast, but other than everything else is going to be, you're going to pay for it. So finding those budgets, setting those expectations of, okay, so you have a $3,000 budget. Okay, you can get a phenomenal property here.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And that's why we have travel agents.
And that's why
help us. People that don't know all those things. That's why you refer to an expert when you need to.
Because I was all like, Bora Bora, that's awesome. I'm going to go. And I looked at flights and I was like, I can't even afford the flights.
There is an over-the-water bungalow option in Cancun, actually, in Mexico.
There you go.
There you go.
So you can do that. Just, we got to talk to the people who know.
Yeah.
Hey, producer Megan is getting closer to a mic.
Okay.
I feel like this is definitely something that I do with people because I've been to Japan and a lot of people have actually asked me, hey Megan, how much did it cost to go to Japan? How did you plan your trip? I've literally had meetings with people and helped them schedule their trip. And have you found that obviously some places are more expensive, but I did Japan on a $2,500 budget for 10 days and stayed in one of the best hotels in Tokyo.
Yes.
So, have you found that there are times when a trip, people are expecting to spend tens of thousands of dollars, and then you're like, no, it's going to be $5,000 for you and your husband or whatever.
Yeah.
Have you found that to be the case?
So that there are some of those. So we always work with, that's when we always ask budget first.
Right.
And we will tell you up front, there's no way we can do that because the flights alone are $1,500.
Right.
Now obviously if you catch them like you did, there's exceptions to the rule. I am planning a Portugal trip right now for someone for $4,000 for her and her husband, which is a phenomenal price. Now, is it taking me a month to plan this? Absolutely. Because it's not a large budget for as long as they want to stay. And a couple of nights we're having, as if you're having to stay in a yurt in Portugal is a bad thing, right? So,
Darn.
but,
I'll do it.
Yeah. But things like that we have to sometimes pull.
Yeah.
So it's definitely doable. A lot of people will do Airbnbs. Now I can't personally book Airbnbs. As a travel advisor, A, they don't work with us, and B, it's hard for me to send a client to someone's home.
Right.
I don't know what they're actually walking into. Right. So, that's a very big toss up. So, anybody that asks for an Airbnb, I'm always like, it's best you just go to their app.
Yeah.
Because I can't, insurance, just things like that.
Well, I think Airbnb specifically says they don't want to work with travel agents.
Yes, they don't. Yeah, for that reason. Well, for one, they don't want to give us a portion of their commission.
Right.
And then next, we don't know if you're going to walk into a fantastic home or if you're going to walk into a home with 95 cats.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
that can be.
That's just,
I know.
that's just the truth.
Yeah.
Now, you bring up an interesting point about the commissions because I know a lot of people have said, I wonder how travel people make money. How
you get paid.
So, I know you
I
can't
was just
indulge
wondering
all
that
the
myself.
secrets
I can
to
indulge
us,
the secrets. It's
but
fine.
tell us how that works so that people who might be
Absolutely.
interested in this industry as a
Yes.
job, how you make your money.
And I also feel like,
Megan is interested.
yes, I also feel like it's good to know because of a few other reasons as well. Travel agents are paid by the resort.
Okay.
So we do not
So it's
get
like
paid.
pharmaceutical reps going to doctors.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
we don't get paid until our clients travel, until their travel is complete. So if I if I book a $10,000 trip for next July, I'm not going to see that commission until they get there and return.
Okay.
Okay. So because of that, our agency does charge an agency fee. Some agencies do not, but we like you to know up front, you're paying for our time as well as our service. Sure. Our agency fees start at $50 and they go all the way up to, it just depends on what you're wanting from us. Like I said earlier, if you want the very minimal of us to be involved or if you want us to be very involved. And the reason we put that into play is because we had so many people that would come to us and they would say, okay, I want to go to this, and this. This is I want to fly from here. These are the dates. Okay. Well, it takes me about an hour and a half to build that trip. And then I'll send it over.
Just for the airline alone?
Not just the airline.
And the hotel.
Yeah, the hotel. Well, because when you say you want to go to Cancun, I'm going to give you 4 or 5 options, 4 or 5 of my favorite. Right. So I have to go to each resort, pull the pricing, and then
make sure the dates are available.
Yes, the room categories. I'm not just going to give you a lead-in room. I'm going to give you different options based on your budget. And so each thing that I build is about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. Well, then I send that over to you and you say, okay, I love it, but let's change the dates to this. That's another hour and a half. Yeah. Okay. So, and I don't think people understand that. It's not just a quick little, and I'm also
you have to see what's available.
Pulling, from different sites to get you the best pricing. Well, what we found was happening with people would say, okay, well, that gives me a good budget to look at.
And then they go and do it themselves.
Yeah. So you've given them all these ideas. You have created this trip for them.
You did the work for free.
And then you did the work for free.
I mean, I totally get why you would have to charge a fee.
Yeah. So that is why we implemented that fee. And there are some people that say, I refuse to pay this fee. No problem. No problem. But what you're getting with me is I have feet on the ground at that resort. For instance, at Unico 2087, I email Victor and I say, Victor, I have 2 clients coming next weekend. I would like for you to give them a free room upgrade if it's possible. I would like to have petals in their room because it's a birthday. I would like this, and this. Yeah. On your transfer from the airport to the resort, you're going to get beer and water. All of these things come with that. Yeah. Whereas if you're booking it yourself, you don't get that.
No. Well, and if you've networked with these people, you've gone and visited the resort, and you've talked to the people who are there that help you. Yeah. I feel like you can maybe get as good a deal as if you do it on your own because you've gone through somebody who's kind of going, hey, man, I've used your resort this many times. Yes. Give me a deal on these with these people. You know?
And also, resorts prefer you book with an advisor. So they don't really like for you to book with the third-party sites. So they give advisors the best deals. Mm-hmm. So even if you find something that you think is so great on Cheap Caribbean and you send it to me, I can beat it. Yeah. Almost always. Obviously, I can't say that every time. Right. But if you do find a pricing better, I can send that over to my feet on the ground at the resort and say, I'd like this price matched. And I can do that for you.
The destination we had to go and photograph, at the end of June, beginning of July, that we went to Cabo for, the bride used a travel agency, travel concierge to book everything from the flights to the resort to the travel from the airport to the resort, because it was like a 45-minute drive. Oh, wow. Because the airport's not in Cabo, just FYI. So, and it was really nice because there was no thought.
No, you just get there.
I didn't have to stress.
Yeah. No.
Like, we got to the airport in Cabo and we walked outside and, hey, there's our, they
Umbrella
were holding up
they were
holding
right
up a sign for our party. We walked over to those
That's the
vans.
kind of vacation I like.
Yes.
You don't have to, this is why I always go on vacation with somebody like Sarah or my sister, because they plan everything. And I'm just like, I'm along for the ride.
But so to answer your question, back to how we are paid, that is how we do charge that fee up front. Mm-hmm. And
then you get a commission
on
top
top
of
kind of our agreement. This is your agreement to work specifically with me. This is my agreement to work very hard for you. Mm-hmm. If you go to the doctor, you pay a fee to see that doctor. Also your intern.
You're paying for that
you're
expertise.
Paying for that expertise, and that is what you're getting with us.
Yeah.
And then we do make commission from the resort. So we are still getting the same price that Expedia is getting, if not better. More than likely, it's going to be better.
Extra little perks.
We're going to get you, upgrades.
Gotcha.
And that's not costing you any extra because the resort is going to pay us. So, and COVID really, really shone a light on our industry. I think that travel advisors were kind of not looked over because many people have used us for years.
Well, with the ease
of
Airbnb and
Expedia,
Expedia, all those kind of things,
And
do it yourself, cut out the middleman.
When COVID hit, I took care of my clients. So I canceled their trips. I rescheduled their trips. They did nothing. I had a couple that was supposed to leave on their honeymoon 2 days before we shut the world down. And so I was the one that rescheduled all of that. I had people messaging me and they would say, I've been on hold with Expedia for 9 hours. What can I do?
Like, I can't help you for that.
I can't help you with that. And so it's those little things that working with a travel advisor, we really do. We do it all. And our clients don't. Yeah, we make it easy.
You make vacation more restful because a lot of times after all the planning, and then you go, and then you get home, and it's like you need a vacation from your vacation. But if somebody is taking care of all of that, and all you have to do is just go and enjoy yourself, and you really get to relax,
it so easy.
Then you come home refreshed rather than coming home stressed out, feeling like
unless you have too many mojitos, and then you come back.
That's your own fault.
Hangover.
Make sure you keep the water handy.
I have a question for you because I have one of my best friends. She works for this online company called the Points Guy, and there's a lot of people that do this points game with their credit cards and spending money and accumulating points for airlines and things like that. How do you incorporate that into what you guys do?
That's a great question. Okay, so I have a lot of clients that use their points, and we use it for airfare. Okay. So I cannot. The resorts will not, and the
resorts
airlines,
won't use it usually.
No, the resorts will not use it, and then
some hotels will.
Yes, but when you're looking at the all-inclusives, they generally do not use it. Okay. So what we do with that is we book your flights separate, and we use your points for your flights. Okay. So that takes that entire portion off your budget. So for instance, if you have 600 points, $600 worth of points then your airfare is essentially free if you're flying from Houston to Cancun, Yeah. So then you can take that $600 and apply it to an upgraded room category, things like that. Or if you want to save it for your excursions. So that's what we do. We just can't bundle your flights into your trip. We just pay for them separately.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I have quite a few points accumulated for that trip I was going to take last year and use the points to buy my airline ticket and then splurge a little bit more on my hotels and things like that. I was building the trip myself with the help of a friend, but now I'm thinking if I do it next year, my daughter will be 13. We've kind of talked about going to London for her birthday is like a thing that she wanted to do, and I thought I could just maybe group it all together. And maybe I need to talk to you about it.
Yeah, let's do it. We're hoping that that's all open to us.
I mean, who knows? Yeah. I mean, fingers crossed the world will kind of go back. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to go back to normal.
Right. We're starting to open up. You're seeing more and more things open. Like we were talking about for Japan, tentatively, January 31st. Right. That's what we're hoping for. Hawaii just reopened, which it has been a long haul for that. Yeah. It was supposed to open in June, pushed to July, pushed to August, all of these things.
And I don't blame other countries for not wanting Americans to come right now.
Not even other countries, but like Hawaii and Alaska.
They're like, hey, you guys down in the continental U.S., y'all are screwed. You need to figure your stuff out before you come up here.
Right. And Canadians are really like, y'all are not getting in. You are not getting in right now.
The border is locked down.
It is locked down.
And I don't blame them. I really don't. So I want to put that out there. We realize that there's a bad situation happening and that we don't want to carry something somewhere else. Yes. We're all hoping.
We all hope
that stuff gets under control.
Yes.
Fingers crossed. We'll see.
every month something else is opening. And some require a COVID test before a 3-day rapid test before you go. You have to provide results of the negative test. The Dominican, if you get there, they are pulling random screenings. So you're doing a quick little test there. Yeah. And that is kind of, a lot of people are like, do you only book Mexico? Absolutely not. I book all over the world. But Mexico is the only place right now where I know that when you get there, they're not going to COVID test you. And then what if you do come positive?
What happens?
Then what? Mm-hmm. So,
Are there some resources for travel agents and concierge that you can go to kind of check out what all the restrictions are?
Yes, absolutely.
And you utilize that when you're talking to your clients,
yes.
Obviously.
So, for instance, I had someone the other day looking for the Bahamas, and I gave her everything that has to be done. And she was like, okay, no, I'm not okay with that. Yeah. So, then we start pulling other ideas.
Yeah, just wait a little while. Save that budget.
Yeah.
Take a less expensive trip to Mexico now, save the rest of that budget, and in a year or two.
Exactly.
The vaccine is out and everything's kind of evened out a little bit. Then take your trip.
Are they they're not even doing cruises right now, right?
They are
I heard that
opening
they had opened back up.
I don't do cruises.
Okay.
I don't do cruises. But I want to say there is a couple coming out of Miami. Maybe?
I believe so. Yeah,
I believe.
I don't know that I would chance it.
I don't think I would either.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't do cruises.
When
That's one of the things
when there's
I don't
not
do.
a pandemic, a cruise ship is a.
It can be
it's kind of
just a ship in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you're close quarters. You can't get away from those people unless you're
No.
on an excursion, and it's only for the day.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so I enjoyed the cruise we went on, but I definitely feel like the way the world has come and this global pandemic, there's no way you could get me on one right now. And I mean, even getting on an airplane seems kind of like
the cruise that I was on, and this was 6 years ago, but they were every time you went into you went into a restaurant. Anytime you went into it, there was somebody there with some hand sanitizer.
Yes,
you know.
May I offer you some sanitizer?
Yes, here you go.
Yes.
You know, anytime you went and entered any room, they were like, here.
That's how it is right now at the resorts as well.
Yeah.
And the resorts to me, I've been on cruises. I prefer resorts. When I get to a location, I want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I get very motion sick. So
that's probably not a good idea.
The cruise wasn't my favorite.
Not fun for you.
What's funny is I get car sick, but I don't get sick on planes or boats, which is the
Really?
weirdest thing. But
That
I will
is
get sick in a car.
I don't get sick on planes either, but I do on boats.
It's
just
such a weird
strange,
thing.
very strange. And trains make me very
You would think
ill.
of all of them.
Really?
Yes.
A car would be fine.
Yeah.
But I have no problem train, boat, or plane. But the car, I have the issue with the car.
I wanted to hit on something you said just a moment ago. You said, save your money for the bigger trips and go to Mexico now.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just say this very quickly. I adore Mexico, and I think that so many people look it over because of a lot of the negative headlines.
I've enjoyed every time I've ever gone.
And I'll have people that say, well, I've been to Mexico twice, I don't want to go back. And I'm like, oh, but there's so much
but you
more.
haven't seen it all.
We should go to Cabo.
Absolutely.
Yes, there's so much more. I have gone to so many resorts in Mexico, and every one of them brings something unique and different to the table. Yeah. And I just think
the people
that
are so nice and warm.
And that's
and like if you
thing.
attempt a little bit of Spanish, they like take pity on your stupid butt.
Yeah.
And like, okay.
and that's another thing. The Hispanic culture, there is no other culture like that.
No.
They are.
I have a
nicest
Hispanic
people.
mother-in-law, and she wants to constantly make your life better. That's what she wants. She gets joy from seeing you happy. Yes. Yeah. And you do not, obviously I've not been everywhere in the world, but you don't find that in many cultures.
No.
And the Hispanic culture they
want to feed you and take care of you
they
and make sure that you have a good time.
They want to party with you.
Yes.
And
so I have a lot of clients that are afraid of Mexico, but they're not afraid to go to Jamaica. And I'm like, or anywhere, and I always tell them, take caution wherever you go. I would take the same amount of caution in Chicago, downtown Houston. I always say, have you looked at the United States lately?
It probably was more dangerous for us to travel to New Orleans a couple years ago than it would be to go to
Yes. And I travel to Mexico alone all the time, whenever I go visit these resorts. So I do think that...
but especially if you're in a resort.
Yeah, you're in a safe
Ours was
place.
gated. You weren't coming in unless you had the band, the thing that said that you were supposed to be there. We had to provide papers.
Yes, that's what I say. They check your papers, they check your passports.
Yeah.
You are not.
And if you're not on the list,
you're
not getting in.
Going.
There were people that came to the gate. A fun little story. That at the resort we stayed at when we were in Cabo, asking for me and the woman I was with and our room number. And they called up to us and said, "Are you expecting a guest?" And I was like, "No, ma'am. No one." Yeah, nobody would be coming here.
A little scary.
And she said, "That's what we thought. Thank you so much. We'll take care of it here at the gate."
Did you find out who it was?
No idea. I think somebody was just trying to get in.
Get in.
But how they had our names, I have no idea. But that was a little weird.
Scary. But that is that's how tight that's
security, dude. Like there was nobody getting in, and you're very safe on the resort itself. All the workers are always, hola. They're like very happy to see you. Every little guy that had the little trams that took us to the different places on the resorts, we would get on a first name basis.
Pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Bring your friends. Tell them. And I was like, dude, I'd come back here in a heartbeat.
Yeah, they're hurting for tourism.
They really are.
And it's funny you said that about the security, because I have people that have never traveled to a resort in another country, an all-inclusive or something like that. I had someone reach out to me the other day, and they are booked for one of the resorts, and they said, my sister and brother-in-law are thinking of coming, and which this is terrible, but I know people do this in the United States. You sneak people into your hotel rooms. You don't pay for them. You say 2 people are coming and 4 stay. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the lady said, if there's no availability, we're just going to just try to get them into our room without anybody knowing. And I just had to laugh because in my mind I was like,
That's
you
not
will
happening.
never get them in this resort.
Yeah.
You know, like
It's fine at the Motel 6.
yeah, at the
you know?
Motel 6 in
Yeah.
you know Lufkin, Texas, you could probably get that. You know, but when you're
it's
in
not gonna
Mexico
happen,
and your
yeah.
name is not on that list,
They're
you
not
are
letting
not
you in.
getting in.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It was definitely weird, and you know, because I look over at Kelly and I was like, our husbands couldn't be here, right? And she was like, no, they would tell us, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
And like our party that we were with, they were all right there.
In the resort. Yeah.
They were guests at the resort, so
Yeah.
there was no. Yeah, it was a weird thing. So anybody who's like, I'm worried about, and we went out in a group when we went into Cabo, the city, and did some shopping at the malls, but a lot of things were closed when we were there because they had just opened up. So it was a
Yeah.
different experience for us. But like anytime I've ever been, as long as you don't like follow somebody saying, "Oh, I got a deal down here," and you go down some back
Yeah.
alley, you're gonna be fine.
But
Use some
would
common
you do
sense.
that in downtown Houston?
You
No.
wouldn't do that.
No.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
wouldn't do that
yeah.
here. So you shouldn't do it there.
Yeah.
I
Just
wouldn't
use
do
common
that in
sense and you'll
downtown
be fine,
Lufkin.
yeah.
You know?
I felt
Yeah.
more unsafe in cities in the U.S. than I
Yes.
have ever felt.
Yeah.
I
in
agree.
Mexico.
I agree. And you know, I always tell my clients the same thing. We use trusted, insured, and secured, you know, resorts,
Right.
transfers. Do not just go hail a taxi, you know, in downtown Cancun, really. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, now some of them are safe. We've done that.
They have
you know,
metro buses that you can
Yes.
hop on and just
But
kind of drive up and down the strip.
If the person is in a van and they don't have a, you know,
They have a magnet that says
taxi
on
and it
the
looks,
side of
you know,
it.
don't get in the van.
Yeah, trust your instincts.
Yeah.
We took the
Use
bus
your-
on our honeymoon when we stayed in Cancun.
Uh-huh.
The little you could just hop on at any stop because like literally Cancun is just like a strip.
Yeah,
like Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And so you could just hop on and off wherever.
Or
and
like Fifth Avenue and Playa. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
such a fun little place to just walk and
You can
and
walk
do
or you
all
just
of
hop on
that.
the thing
but
and-
don't, you know.
don't get in some sketchy van.
Exactly.
I mean, I feel like people go to another country and they lose all sense of
They do. They're like,
Common
well,
sense.
I'm a tourist, so I'm safe. No, absolutely not. You
Yeah,
are, you know,
no,
you're not
yeah.
just like the same in America. And I always tell people that as well. You know, you are an American, but you're not in your country right
Yeah.
now. So you need
Yeah.
to behave that way, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
yeah.
So
What has you were a teacher and then a librarian and now you're a travel agent.
Mm-hmm.
What has this job taught you about yourself? You know, you've had several different careers and you said you were in network
Yes.
marketing. So like what are these different things, you know, especially travel and the way things have been this year and how that industry has been so badly hit.
Uh-huh.
What has this all taught you about yourself?
a few things. For one, I fully realized that I was born to be in sales. There is no other career that I have enjoyed as much as that. I love it. I'm very competitive, and so it's a great fit for me. Another thing that it has taught me is you should never rely on a single income. You know,
Yeah.
you should have those different sources of income because for 3 months I didn't book a single trip.
Yeah.
So, you know, I relied on, we have a rental home, we have my network marketing career, you know, things like
Yeah.
that. And my husband is my fiance, my fiance is in the oil field. And luckily, of the 97 rigs, there were only 3 that remained open during all of this, and he was on one. And
Wow.
he kept
My
his job.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but had he not, you know, that's another income that would have
Yeah.
been lost. So I think that really, that is what,
Diversification.
yes,
Yeah.
of multiple sources of income
Yeah.
has been a huge
It saved
eye
us.
opener.
I will say that.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, because, you know, the tattoo shop was closed for 60 days.
Mhm.
And the coffee shop, we didn't have to close, but, you know, we did as a precaution to make sure that we could put all the measures in place to safely reopen. And, you know, the stress on our clients, I mean, our employees having to, you know, figure out
Yeah.
while they're working. So being shut down during that time to be able to help them
Yes.
navigate the changes better, you know. And we were lucky enough to get the loans and things and the supplements
Yeah.
that the government was giving out. But yeah, if we hadn't had that, I think we would have been in real trouble. And we were lucky, and so many people haven't been. And
Yeah.
so it's been real hard to watch so many small business people
Yes.
suffer.
Just shut down and not
Yeah.
and never open their doors
and
again.
they're not going to be
You know,
able to.
I
Yeah.
personally canceled or rescheduled right at $50,000 worth of travel during COVID.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, so I mean, a huge hit.
Ouch.
So it was in those moments where you think, okay, thank goodness I have prepared for this.
Yeah.
You know, that we do have these multiple sources of income that are coming in. So I think that kind of opened our eyes, and it also kind of it shone a light on what is really needed, you know? So your careers that, you know, stayed in place.
Yeah.
What for the travel agency itself, or the travel industry, what has this shown you guys in terms of how you go forward in this new world we're going to be living in?
Yeah. So we really had to dive into a lot of education and just, you know, learning, what does this look like now? What can we, you know, expect from here on out? How can we prepare our clients? How can we make our clients feel secure in traveling again? You know, so that's kind of, I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that, you know, it really made us dig deep and figure out, what are we offering? How can we, in the future, you know, if something like this happens,
because this is probably never going away,
right? So how do we adapt? How are we adapting? And so, you know, it added a couple more steps into our process, as far as we had to, you know, we have to make sure when you're traveling, if you're going to Bora Bora, we need this test. So, you know, all of that knowledge that, you know, the information that we had to learn. So
that's another thing. You know, we were one of the destination weddings we were supposed to do in April, when the middle, like right after everything, the world closed. We were supposed to go to Costa Rica and shoot a destination wedding there. And
where were you going? Do you know which resort?
Oh, you asked me that, and then the information just flew right out of my head.
I love booking Costa Rica for the adventurous
I was
couple.
so excited to go. I've never been.
It is a fantastic destination.
They will, and what they decided to do is just completely cancel their trip anyway, because they'd had to already reschedule it from something else in their life before COVID ever hit. And so but I had to ask people, like, do you have to get vaccinations to go to certain places? Because I'd never been to Costa Rica. I'd been to Mexico, and they don't really care what you do. No. But I was like, I haven't been vaccinated in a while with, you know, certain things. What do you need? And so, do you have clients that ask, okay, I'm going to go to
this type of shot.
I'm going to go to Africa, or I'm going to go to you know, Eastern Europe, or I'm going to go to Thailand. What do I need?
Yes, we have access to all of that, and we send that all after we, you know, get everything arranged. We say, okay, these are the things, these are the steps we need to take now. You know, because different locations, Africa.
So that's another thing you have to budget into, because those vaccines are not always cheap.
They're not always cheap. Yeah. I know when I went to Australia, I had to have, oh my gosh, like a set of 3, like a series of 3 shots. It was just crazy that I had to have. You know?
And that stuff sometimes, because some of those things are more rare, or they're not as often, you know, you're not getting them, like a tetanus shot can cost you $10, but some of these things are like $150. You know, so that you have to factor that into the budget of your trip as well, if you're going somewhere that requires something, or if you're going to go someplace like Thailand, or I say that they may not have any requirements, I don't know, but you think about, you know, more you know, the southeastern, you know, Asia and India and things like that,
India,
where our gut system doesn't work like their gut system, because they got different things in their waters and food, and so you have to be careful.
You do.
Not because they're dirty or anything like that. Please, I want you guys to hear me when I say there's just different things.
You
know, I've had friends who've gone and they were like, I had to be real careful about what I ate, not because it was going to be bad, but because they're not used to it. But we are not. So you know, and having this vaccine will help you not catch this or this, you know, because we'd be more susceptible because we don't have a natural immunity. And so things like that, you know, because I you know, when I had said something about going to Costa Rica and somebody was like, oh, you need to and I was like, it's because, you know, I'm not used to what they have there. It's not anything to do with them. So
Costa Rica is one of my all-time favorite destinations to book. I'm sad that you didn't get to go.
I was so upset about that, because it was supposed to happen like the second week in April, I think.
They are finally open. We are open to Costa Rica now, finally. You do have to have the COVID test, but well, thank goodness we, you know, for a while it was only 7 states in the United States that could travel to Costa Rica. Now everyone can. So
it's such a weird world now that's the reality we live in, and you know, I wouldn't have thought a year ago that this would be an issue we have to deal with. No. But you know, we had a wedding or an event venue decor rental business, Stacy Brown from Junk and Treasures, and you know, a lot of her events are weddings, you know, so she was like, she used the word pivot a lot, because you know, things were for 2 months you couldn't really do anything, and you know, having to figure out how I can keep people interested in booking and you know, having
that
interest.
was, you know, a deciding factor in our wedding venue was, how have you handled COVID? So how many weddings have you had to cancel? What are your, you know, what if this is So definitely, and it's ever changing. And that's what I tell my clients all the time, it can be open today and tomorrow it may be something totally different. It is good to have that travel advisor who is keeping a watch. We get alerts. We get, all of those things where I wouldn't say we know things before you, but we have access to information a little easier.
Yeah. You know where to look versus.
Are you guys planning a destination wedding or?
We're not. So we're getting married in the hill country. We're actually looking for a videographer. I think you guys do that, don't you?
No,
you don't?
I don't.
You don't. Okay. Oh, dang.
I'm retired from the photography.
Oh, okay. I'm looking for a videographer.
I was going to say, didn't we interview?
Blake Polino does some videography here, but he could probably refer you to anybody if you wanted somebody in that area.
Yeah. So that, and everyone keeps asking where we're going for our honeymoon. Since I am, a travel advisor, I'm like, I will probably book that 2 months before I go.
Yeah. Now, that's an interesting question. When people book trips, you hear, oh yeah, you should book a year or two in advance, or you should book 2 months before you go. Is there an ideal time?
There isn't.
Is there ideal seasons to travel?
Yes.
So tell us a little about that.
I love that you asked this. I'm glad this came up.
Yeah.
So yes, to all of that. When we can only book airfare 11 months out. So airfare drops 11 months out. However, you never want to book your airfare that far out. It is going to be based on averages, and it's going to be completely off. I say 5 to 6 months before travel, but to be realistic, I sometimes go a month, like right before a month out. And I get my best
booked
pricing.
tickets to California 4 weeks before.
Now, if you get in that 2 week mark.
See, I've always heard that it's the closer you wait,
if you're getting,
the more expensive.
Yeah, if you're getting into that week and 2 weeks before, it's going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a month out, 2 months out, so when people want to book their resorts a year in advance, a lot of times people do that because we can take a deposit. So sometimes your deposit can be as low as $100. And then you have 45 days prior to travel to pay your vacation off, which helps when you're booking an overwater bungalow in Bora Bora.
You pay it off over the months.
You have a whole year to pay that, fee off. And then airfare, though, has to be paid in total upon booking, no matter how we spend it. And that's an airline rule.
Yeah.
So if we're bundling your air into that, then it is going to be part of the deposit. Used to, we could get a little portion of it. If your airfare was $1,200, then you only need to pay $500. But since COVID, that is out of the way. You have to pay the full amount at the time of booking. For resorts, a year in advance. Some people go a year and a half. You can do that. Like I said, I would not purchase my air until about 6 months out. And then right now, if you're traveling anytime before December 20th, you are going to get the best pricing. That's just, they're expecting travel to go up in 2021, so resorts are going back to regular pricing. So if you're a spur of the moment kind of person,
now's the time
to do it. And do it before December 20th. Now, your highest price time of the year, and I giggle every time I get this, I'll have someone say, I want to travel from December 26th to January 2nd.
And that's the most expensive time
in the entire year. Yeah. In the entire year. So I'm always, they'll say I have a $3,000 budget. Well, you're looking at $6,000 to $7,000 because of the time of year.
Yeah.
Right.
The airlines are going to make your prices just go astronomical.
Right.
Your resorts are going to go in that as well. So, and they also give little things, like fun things are happening during that
high
time.
Season isn't high season for the tropical locations, December, January, February.
So it's in that December, January, and then your entire, summer. So your highest price times are anytime kids are out of school, basically.
There you go.
And Valentine's, and then Valentine's. So teachers never get a break because they don't get paid very well to begin with, and then every time they're out of school,
everything's super expensive.
Super expensive.
So Christmas, January, December. Christmas and New Year's are by far the highest priced of the year. But you're also, like I said, going to get little perks. They're going to do fireworks shows, a lot of them. They're going to, all of these little things that come with that. And then Valentine's, obviously. I just booked a resort that was about $1,200 more expensive simply because it fell on Valentine's. Spring break, way high.
So if you're somebody like me that would like to go when there's not as many people and you get a little bit better pricing, what time of the year should you
Hurricane
travel?
season.
There you go.
So from June to September.
Yeah.
No, October is a great month to travel.
Yeah.
October, February outside of Valentine's, April outside of spring break.
There you go.
So great time. September is even any time that the kids are kind of back in school.
Yeah.
You're looking at some great pricing. October, we consider it's shoulder season. And so we're just, it's in between your highs. So
Gotcha.
September, October are phenomenal times to travel. And
Yeah.
yes, there could be a hurricane. That's why we do trip insurance.
Yeah.
We just got hit in Cancun with a Category 2. And I traveled to Cancun 6 days after that hurricane hit. So we were evacuating clients out. Another reason to book with a travel advisor.
Yeah.
The people that booked with Expedia trying to get themselves out of this country, trying to figure out what they're going to do when this hurricane is about to hit is crazy. We were up until 2 a.m. evacuating clients out of the country.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So now some chose to stay.
It's good to know that that's a service you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some chose to stay. And, resorts do have big convention centers that are, built for those things.
Right.
And luckily it didn't do a lot of damage. It did minimal damage. Most of the resorts were up and going the very next day. So they're prepared for those things. Their buildings are built
They're
with
used
that.
to that. They've dealt with that. Yeah.
Yeah, but anytime, and I always recommend trip insurance because of that reason right there. If you're displaced while you're on vacation from a hurricane, your travel insurance covers that. A lot of people think travel insurance is only for if you have to cancel, but that's not the case. Your American insurance does not cover your health care while you're in Mexico. We had a client, true story, went over to Mexico for a quick 3-day trip, refused to take the travel insurance because he was going to go on this trip no matter what. It didn't matter. Had a heart attack while in Mexico and had to pay $9,000 cash before they would let him out of the hospital. If he would have taken out the $70 travel insurance policy.
$70? That's it?
It would based on the amount of your trip in full.
Sure.
Yeah. So $70 travel insurance. He would have walked out.
Oh my gosh.
Completely free. So travel insurance is more than just a cancellation. It's if a hurricane hits. It's if you have, if you
fall and break your arm
break
while
an
on
arm.
vacation.
Yeah. So all of those things.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's good to know.
What would you, trying to wrap this up because we've been going a while. I'm so sorry. I'm very interested. If you've changed careers and shifted your life a little bit, what advice do you have for somebody who would be going through something like that because of the time we live in? They've shifted careers or whatever. What's helped you the most?
Finding what you love. If you can find a way to make your passion make money, then you have won. So I work a lot of hours with travel, but I enjoy it. So it doesn't bother me.
It doesn't feel like work.
It doesn't feel like work. Whereas when I taught, I worked Saturdays and Sundays preparing my classroom, and that is exhausting. And you're not getting any financial gain from that. You're
usually spending money.
You're spending money.
Yeah.
So yes, teachers do not teach for money. I get that, but money is nice. Money does buy things. So
it keeps a roof over your
Yeah,
head.
it does.
Be nice if teachers could teach
And
for
we
money.
really should pay our teachers more.
We definitely should.
Absolutely.
That's a whole other soapbox.
That really, it really is.
But I would say if you can turn your passion into some form of money, and right now, I was talking to you guys about TikTok before. If you get on TikTok, there are so many people giving ideas of how to make extra incomes, even from flipping couches.
That seems to be the social media platform right now.
Flipping couches. Like I watched a guy who makes $1,000 a week flipping couches. Yes. And he gives exactly how to do this. Just real quick, I'll tell you what he does.
Yeah, okay.
And if you steal this idea from me,
no,
I'm just kidding. I'm not going to flip couches. He finds sectionals on Facebook or wherever, and he gets them to the price he wants. He goes and picks them up, cleans them up. He said they have to be leather. They have to be, a sectional. Right. Cleans them up and then offers free delivery and charges 3 times what he bought it for. And he said the key is offering free delivery. And so he makes $1,000 a week flipping couches.
That is insane.
So
That's
there
incredible.
are things out there to do.
Yeah.
You just
have to get out of the box of what you normally would think.
You have to stop looking for careers and you have to start looking for opportunities.
Yes.
And that is my biggest,
Start looking for
you
careers.
have stop looking for careers and start looking for opportunities.
That's a
brilliant.
great quote.
Yeah.
So use that.
But that's just the truth of it. And right now TikTok is, and I'm sure you guys know this, Instagram and Facebook are so hard to beat the algorithm.
Yes.
You're constant, and I'm sure anybody that's listening to this.
People are blowing up on TikTok right now. Like just normal
because
people.
There are no algorithms to beat.
And that's one of the great things about it. TikTok's gotten a lot of bad press lately, but I'm telling you, if you've got a small business and you want to promote it, get on TikTok. Oh my gosh.
I have booked 12 trips in the last week from TikTok. 12 in the last week. And that's not considering all the ones that I've booked since I started.
Yeah.
But I'm not having to beat an algorithm. So it's funny, on Instagram I had 1,200 followers for like literally 3 years. I could not get a single follower. I was giving all of my, I was putting everything into it, no followers.
Yep.
I get on TikTok, I somehow blow up because I'm giving it the same content I'm giving all of my other platforms, but with TikTok I'm not fighting an algorithm. And I've grown like 1,700 followers on Instagram in the last month. So it just it's just
getting I like
getting
that,
out there though. Getting out of your comfort zone for one. I tell a lot of people this. People's opinions don't pay your bills. So what if you're doing something out of the norm? If you enjoy it and it's bringing something to the table for your family, then do it.
Our generation was taught you had to do life a certain way.
College,
you got a career, you did this.
You go do the 9 to 5.
That's not working anymore.
My diplomas look really great hanging on my wall.
Sure they do.
And I'm reminded of my student loans every time I look at them. But they're not making me any money.
So, I would keep talking to you for even more, but we got to wrap this up. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on social media? We were just talking about TikTok, so why don't you give us your name?
Yes, so on TikTok you can find me at Vagablonde Aubree, so it's Vaga, V-A-G-A, and then blonde, like the color of my hair, Aubree, A-U-B-R-E-E. And then on all my other platforms, it's just Aubree Paige with 2 E's and P-A-I.
And you'll have a website, right?
We do. We have vagabondetravel.com. It is currently being
updated,
and it is going to be absolutely stunning.
I love the logo. It looks great.
Yes. Well, our agency owner is she has her degree in digital marketing. So
she did a good job.
She is phenomenal. Yes.
Well, guys, if you need to get out and you're feeling claustrophobic after all of this year and just blah, because it's been a crap of a year, you should give Aubree a call or find her on social media and book a trip to relax and chill.
Have some time.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up today. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We hope you enjoyed this story. Please come on and tell us yours. You can find all of our episodes on our website at PaynePoints.com under the podcast tab. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else, really, that you can listen to a podcast. So please go check us out. And, we hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.